So we have a big show, as we do every single day. Elliot Shore-Parks, because it's Tuesday, will join us at 3 o'clock. Jordan Mailata will join us at 4. At 4:30, you're at your chance to sing for Lincoln Park tickets. We have a pair of tickets to give away for Lincoln Park August 16th at the Wells Fargo Center. All you have to do is sing one line. Then we have Lane Johnson joining us at 5:30 to talk about tomorrow's Birds at the Half event at Chickies and Pete's to benefit the Travis Manion Foundation. So it's a big show. But we start off with the friggin' Sixers, who will not just leave me alone. I begged them to leave me alone, and they wouldn't do it. I begged them to just lose that disgraceful game last night in peace, and they wouldn't do it. So, we mentioned yesterday that I, on Friday night, had hit my breaking point with the Philadelphia 76ers and Joel.
They can go lower.
Well, here they are. So then they had that game last night where they were up 19 points in the first half. And as it turns out, not only did we hit our breaking point, Ike, with Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers, it seems as if the Philadelphia 76ers themselves hit their breaking point. So this is per Shams Charania at ESPN. He says, amid a 2-11 start that has them in last place in the Eastern Conference, and with their star trio of Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey yet to play a game together, the Sixers held a team meeting following Monday night's 106-89 loss to the Heat. The loss was the fourth in a row, sparking veteran guard Kyle Lowry to call for the meeting, a much-needed heart-to-heart and call to action and urgency, sources told ESPN. Players and coaches held each other accountable and took fault in the start of the season. Maxey challenged Embiid to be on time to team activities, calling out the 2022-23 league MVP about being late for, quote, everything, and how it impacts the locker room from other players to the coaching staff. Sources briefed on the meeting told ESPN. Maxey and Embiid have a close relationship and a history of holding each other accountable, according to those around the team. Quote, Tyrese loves big fella, but this is the elephant in the room. Players told 76ers coach Nick Nurse they want to be coached harder, and coaches in turn said they want players to practice with purpose and attention to detail. So,
boy, what are we doing?
Well, so the team meeting is usually one of two things. It's usually the end of the year, or, the Mets had a team meeting last year that was led by should-be MVP shortstop, what's his name? Francisco Lindor. So it ended up working for the Mets. It ended up not working for the Phillies last year, who had a team meeting and had one.
They reluctantly had a team meeting.
Look, here is I'm going to take the stuff about Nick Nurse needing to coach harder and the players needing to practice harder and put that all to the side. Of course they do. They all look like crap. They look like they don't care, so on and so forth. But as you said yesterday, this starts at the top, and the top being the best player on the team, Joel Embiid. And to be honest with you, over the last several years, there have been many people who have said Joel doesn't practice, including my father, doesn't come to practice on time, doesn't show up in shape. And because of his talent and because of my affinity toward Joel Embiid, I put that to the side and said, okay, but he is still our best chance at a championship. I want to see him do it. I believe he can do it. It is about time that someone on the team say something about this who is in a position to say something about this. It is easy for us to say Daryl Morey should say something or Nick Nurse can say something. They can't say anything, to be quite honest with you. It's not how the NBA works. The only way that this changes or has any opportunity of turning around is if someone on the team can do it. Paul George just got here. The rest of the players aren't good enough. It had to be Tyrese Maxey. So whether this was at the urging of other players, whether it was at the urging of coaches, Tyrese Maxey did what no one else could do, and I give credit to him for doing that. Tyrese Maxey, in the playoffs last year, became the guy against the New York Knicks when they needed him to be, and has a good relationship with Embiid. It's unacceptable that this has to be talked to Joel Embiid at this point in his career, at this point in the season, when he said he was coming in where the only thing that mattered was winning, and he looks bad, and he sets a bad example. And I'm glad Tyrese Maxey said something. I'm glad that he spoke up, and I'm glad that it's public, because the only way that he hears any of this and decides to change is to realize that this is not a secret anymore, that he can't hide behind it anymore, that he can't hide behind coaches and general managers who are afraid to say something anymore. And I give all the credit in the world to Tyrese Maxey for trying it. Will it work? I have no idea, but I can tell you what won't work. This. Yeah. What was going on wasn't going to continue to work. So I can't tell you whether I think it'll work or not work because I don't know what's left in him physically, but I can tell you what was going on couldn't continue.
Yeah, this is a tough day. This is, and it hasn't even gotten. I don't even know how much that has yet to be unpacked with this whole thing.
Sure.
At some point, somebody's going to do a deep dive into this. What has led up prior to this, the whole summer situation. Like somebody's going to do their job and go do the homework, and we're going to get a Tim McManus story somewhere, right? Like that's what we're going to get at some point. Like somebody's going to tell us what has brought us to this point where this is going on with Joel Embiid. Because as a Joel Embiid supporter, I feel very let down. I feel disappointed.
But probably not surprised.
Not surprised.
Right.
But here's the thing. I feel deflated because what you're asking or maybe suggesting is that this is going to be some sort of wake-up call. And it's not. It's not. If the past failures haven't been a wake-up call, playing in this city and not living up to expectations and delivering a championship in the way some of those series ended, if those weren't wake-up calls for Joel Embiid, this isn't a wake-up call for Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid runs that organization. They walk on eggshells around Joel Embiid. It reminds me, I can't even say it reminds me exactly what Shaq was like when he started winning in L.A. and he got lazy.
Sure.
Because at least Shaq won and showed you how dominant he could be. And he also had an awesome co-star with him.
He had a Hall of Famer next to him.
Yeah, I mean, top one of the 5 greatest players ever.
Absolutely, over LeBron.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't even have that benefit.
By the way, not to interrupt, not just a great player, but a great player who was not afraid of letting people know when his co-star wasn't living up to his part of the bargain.
That's the one thing, and people viewed that as a negative for Kobe back then, but not realizing that Kobe had a standard for working hard and being prepared, and he felt like Shaq was never that. He wanted to use the season to get to that point.
Sure.
Now, to Shaq's credit, he delivered in the postseason. Joel Embiid, I'm so disappointed because, quite frankly, Spike, I don't believe Joel Embiid wants it as bad as we want it for him. Doesn't mean he's not a great player. Doesn't mean he doesn't have the great talent. But there's something to it. And I understand the physical elements that are there. I understand that part of it. Stuff he can't control, injuries. I understand that. But there's something to the mentality and his mindset and approach to playing the game and truly wanting to win a championship and be at his best that I just don't think he has, man. And this is not going to end well. This to me is the beginning of what is going to ultimately be Joel Embiid not being here anymore. Whether it's because the pressure from us on the outside, the scrutiny, he's fed up with it. I didn't like the whole appreciate what I've done for you because quite frankly, and I didn't say it then, but I felt it then and I hinted at it, but he was using Marcus speaking at us as fans. Like he took it out on Marcus and talked about the whole what I've done for the city and I don't deserve this. Part of that message was for fans who feel the same way about Joel Embiid. So he was also saying to fans who are frustrated with him, don't forget about what I've done for you in this city. That didn't lay with me the right way. It just didn't. Doesn't mean he hadn't sacrificed and played through injuries. But dude, you clearly don't get this fan base when you're trying to chastise the fan base and say, be thankful for what I've done for you. No, you be thankful that we have been patient with you your entire career. His entire career, we've been patient with him. The guy didn't play for 2 years, and we waited on him and supported him. We've been patient with him. And for you to come into this season the way that you've come into this season, it makes me believe that fans weren't wrong for feeling the way that they felt about that. Because his teammates feel a certain way. His teammates see the exact thing that's going on that we don't get to see, and they feel a certain way. When I said yesterday that it starts with him, he sets the tone, he's the reason why things are the way that they are, they feel that way too. His teammates feel that way. And this is not good, man. This is not good. I don't believe it's a wake-up call. I don't think it's going to change anything for him. He's gotten everything he's asked for from this city and the organization. Why should he change? The only thing that's going to be left for Joel Embiid to do is pack his bags and say, I'm out. Y'all don't appreciate me, I'm gone. Like, that's the only thing he has left. He ain't landing on the line for the title. He's not going to do it, and this fan base, and rightfully so, aren't going to let up on him because of it.
Well, the shame of that is that he has been through a lot personally.
He has.
The injuries, and I know this is going to this is not excuses. This is me giving context to all of it. That is the shame of it, is that he has been through a lot, and I do believe that the fans of this city, while he was going through those things, were supportive.
Yes.
When he went through when we drafted him, not knowing.
Man, you led a charge. You led a portion of this fan base.
And how does that, like, that makes me feel like an idiot. And truthfully, I think part of sports is wanting to believe in the heroes that are there, making them bigger than life. And the things that he went through were life, right? Broken foot number one, broken foot number two, the tragic loss of his brother. Mm-hmm. But by the way, becoming a father and then having your face, all these different things that he did, I think, show resolve, battling back from, that he needed us for, that we were here for. But then asking, essentially, in this ramp-up period, making the organization lie for him and say that they wanted to put him in the best physical position to be there, and have him not be doing that, makes everyone, including me, who has supported him over the last several years, feel stupid. And look, I don't know if he had the absolute right mentality through all of this. His body may have failed him anyway, but we haven't gotten the chance to see that. And the shame of it is that, like, this city is a tough one to figure out for an athlete all the time, because we can be difficult. But I think what it comes down to is, if you try your hardest and you are honest with us, we may not react the right way at the moment, but I think eventually we will have that mutual respect. That's why I think at the end of the day, we had the mutual respect for Jimmy Rollins when he said, you guys are front runners.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, Jimmy Rollins busted his ass most of the time. So we were all good with it. Even today, as we look at Donovan, we had our problems with Donovan, but you know what? Donovan was a great player here, brought it when he played, and we look back on it, and I think we can say, hey, look, maybe we weren't fair in the moment. The thing that sucks about Joel is though he was going against the odds, he had everything here to try and make it work, especially now. An organization that spent basically 2 or 3 years working toward this offseason so they could put it all together for him. That didn't trade Tyrese Maxey when they had the opportunity, even though I would have said they should have traded him. All of those things. Who drafted Maxey, drafted McCain, signed Paul George, signed all these role players that are specifically to fit around him. And the only thing that they ask and the only thing that we ask is to give everything that you have, and he's not doing that. And that is the biggest crime. The biggest crime is not losing. The biggest crime is not missing shots when you're supposed to make shots. Right. All of those things eventually we can forgive. But the effort and the dishonesty is something that is a lot harder to forgive. Yep. So what I would say about how it ends, if you made me bet on it, I would bet on your side. However, because I am the eternal optimist in this situation and have hope and have this much time is, you know what? They're not trading him this year. And I look at it and I say, hey, look, if there's a 5% chance that Tyrese Maxey looking him in the face and saying, hey, you acting this way makes us worse. If there's a 5% chance of that combined with it being public, somehow lights a fire under him, I'm open to the possibility. But to your point about if I had to bet how it ends, well, I would bet it doesn't end well. That would be my bet. Yeah. But my hope is this is probably the difference between where I am and where a lot of people are. I am open to the idea of it changing. I'm open to it. I'm not, and there's maybe not a large chance, but there is a chance, I think. And that's sort of where I am with it. It's just like ultimately, it is sad.
It is. It really is, man.
It's like it's not one of those things where you see, I'm sorry for talking over it. It's not one of those things. Good. It's not one of those things where you see the article pop up and you're like, oh, teammates calling each other out. Like that, those things happen all the time. It is this situation with this guy this year that hurts so much.
We never had this.
Yeah.
Like, we never had this. Like, we've had different things. Like, we dealt with the Ben Simmons stuff. Like, we dealt with different things.
Crazy things.
With the team. So, we know all about that. But when the franchise player is being called to the carpet in a team meeting, man, I don't even know how he responds to this. First of all, he said it was no team meeting. So, I don't know. Did he shrug it off?
Oh, did he say
I thought
that?
somebody asked him.
Yeah, he said, I didn't know we had a team meeting.
Yeah, he said, I didn't know we had a team meeting.
Oh, haha, so funny. He also said that Jimmy Butler is one of his 5 favorite players in the league right after the team meeting.
Yeah.
He's still doing the Jimmy
That's good.
Butler
Yeah,
thing.
it seems like he got the message.
Well, there's Jack.
Yeah.
You got anything here?
Yeah. Sorry.
Giggles?
Yeah.
Oh, we're meeting with Soto, so this is great. But
yeah.
No, it's just he feels like for the first time, well, maybe not the first time, but I guess especially heightened now, he just feels like he's draining the life out of this team. Like the mopiness, the don't know when he's going to be there, when he's not going to be there. And for the first time, I kind of get the sense that he's close to being out. I think
that's what I'm wondering.
And the whole comments this year kind of felt that way.
Well, can I? I'm sorry for interrupting.
That's all right.
If he asks out, I don't want to. He should do whatever makes him happy. End of the day, he's a human, whatever. And I don't want to make a proclamation based on what might happen.
Mm-hmm.
But him asking out at this point, rather than looking inward and saying,
right,
this would be the most inexcusable of everything that he's done. You know,
I agree. Now you're messing with legacy.
Right. Like if at the end of this year, if you give it everything you have, the end of this year you look around and you say there's too much baggage, I can accept that. Mm-hmm. But if you do it because of you,
right,
ultimately, that is not an acceptable thing for me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I agree. Now you're messing with like you're a guy that's coming back, jersey in the rafter. Like you're one of the greatest. Like you're one of the greatest to play for the Sixers.
Right.
There's a celebration that comes with that at the end of your career. You know, potential statue. Well, you know it's going to be a statue. I damn sure hope it's bigger than the one Bubba Chuck got over there. But you know it's going to be a statue of him somewhere.
It'll be 3 inches taller.
yes, it's going to be a statue.
Iverson's 5'11". He's 7 feet, so that equates to about 3 or maybe an inch.
My only point is that he's a guy who's going to get honored.
Yes.
So how you leave does matter.
Mm-hmm.
It does matter.
Yes.
And so you're right. For him to ask out because he doesn't want to face the music or you feel like it's getting too hot here for you, yeah, to me, that leaves a stain on his legacy moving forward. I'm not going to say he wouldn't be able to recover from because we all forgive and forget as time goes on. But it would be a sad case for somebody who we've really been patient with and been behind throughout his entire career.
It's different than Damian Lillard asked out because it was time and he never won there and he gave everything he had.
Yes.
He asked out. There's a difference between asking out because you don't think you got a contract. I don't think anybody should ask out. But there's definitely a difference between asking out because the team failed around you and asking out because it got too hot in the kitchen.
Yeah.
You can't ask out because it got too ugly around you. You know?
There's no chance it can rally the troops.
I think it's possible. I don't think it's likely, but I think it's possible.
He can rally the troops.
He can. You know, if he showed up,
if he shows up and plays and he's Joel Embiid, that rallies the troops.
If he comes out against Memphis tomorrow night and has 34 and 12 and they win and he's blocking shots and then sure they could all look at each other and go,
here he is. He's ready to go. That last night, I swear he looked disinterested last night.
Well, he didn't shoot a free throw.
And that tells you something. Only for the second time in his career did he not shoot a free throw.
Was he in the paint? I feel like he was going foul line to foul line.
He was. It was a lot of that. Yeah. And I can't figure out. He's been bad when he's come back from injury. He's been terrible. Every time he's come back from injury, I've looked at him and go, this guy's cooked. And then 2 weeks later, he looks like he can play. Maybe it's in there. I don't know. So 215-592-9494. Your thoughts on the entire Joel Embiid situation.